What's up, everybody? I'm Mace, and I'm here today to talk about Armaf Club de Nuit Milestone, or just Armaf Milestone as I'll call it the rest of this review, because that is a mouthful. Armaf Milestone. Look at that presentation. I mean, really, you can see my camera there. That is an awesome presentation, especially up next to, like I talked about last time, the sillage bottle. Like, it really is a very nice presentation. You can see through there, see your level of liquid. I actually like the kind of tacky necklace it's wearing. It works for me. Also gold atomizer on this one. Looks great, man. So this is a clone of a Creed fragrance, like Armaf typically like to do. This is a clone of Creed's Millisime Imperial. I have an older batch here. This is a 2015 or 2016 bottle, I'm not sure. Slightly older bottle of the Creed, which, if you know much about Creed, their quality has actually gone down in recent years. So just know that this review might favor the Creed a little bit more than if you went out and bought a bottle of the Creed. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind in my review, and recognize that this is a higher quality batch than what you can actually go and buy now of the original. But that being said, I have the original on this arm. Oh, and this is one of, if not my absolute favorite fragrance of all time. And it is what I think is the best fragrance in my favorite category of fragrances, which is aquatic fragrances. I think this is probably the best aquatic fragrance ever made. And to me, someone who loves aquatic fragrances, that's a big deal. Like that puts this in, you know, top 2 fragrances of all time. So being able to purchase a clone of it, if it is good, right? And being able to wear it all the time instead of just on special occasions like I do the Creed. This is just, you know, it's expensive, so I don't wear it all the time. Being able to actually potentially wear one of the greatest fragrances of all time the time would be great. So over here I have the clone, and they've both been sitting there for, you know, about 15 minutes or so. One thing you should know a lot of times with these clone fragrances is right off the bat, they need a second to settle. But actually, this one really doesn't. This one, even right off the bat, smells awesome. So I'll get into it. So I would say the few generalizations I can make here, just to give you an idea, are that the Creed is sweeter. The Creed is slightly more ozonic, and slightly more aquatic. So sweeter, more ozonic, and more aquatic. That being said, none of those are by much. It's not much. The biggest difference is the sweetness. The biggest separating factor is that the Creed smells not like sweet like an Invictus or sweet like an Ultra Male by Jean-Paul Gaultier, but it is a sweeter fragrance. I would not say even that the Armaf is a sweet fragrance. It is a citric, more citric fragrance, even though it's not a citrus fruit, but it's a sour fragrance, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It just is different is all. There is a difference there. So I will also say that the Armaf does come across slightly more synthetic, which should not be a surprise at all, because this one, even discounted, costs like $200 for a full-size bottle, and this one discounted costs about $30 for a full-size bottle. So it should not come as a surprise at all that the Armaf comes across slightly more synthetic. You probably already knew that. So what do they smell like? Well, they smell mostly like watermelon with some aquatic undertones and some ozonic undertones. I cannot describe to you, unfortunately, what that ozonic quality is, but if you smell it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, it just has a certain quality and a certain smell that is hard for me to explain, unfortunately. There's also some almost sea salty elements in there, but again, just feeds into that aquaticness. Basically, it smells like an aquatic watermelon fragrance, both the original and the clone. And the aquatic portion is definitely balanced with the watermelon and the original. Like the watermelon and the aquatic never really override each other in the original. It's very, very balanced, and it's also linear like that. So all through the dry down, they pretty much go down as the fragrance diminishes together. The clone, however, the watermelon's here and the aquatic is here all the way through, which is cool because having a citrusy watermelon fragrance that does actually stay fruity for a while is actually cool. But you should just know that the original is very balanced, very aquatic watermelon, same level. And then the clone is watermelon dominant all the way through. Not necessarily a bad thing, just a difference. And the biggest downside to both the original Creed Millisime Imperial and any clone really is the longevity of the fragrance. If you don't know, this fragrance lasts 4, maybe 5 hours on a good day, and it projects for maybe 15 minutes. Like zero performance, non-existent performance, forget about it performance on Creed Millisime Imperial, which is very unfortunate because, like I said, one of my favorite fragrances of all time, and the performance just sucks. That's why I can't really recommend it to anybody, even though I love it and I can't get enough of it, really. Unfortunately, my bottle is very low. But clone, this clone anyway, performs okay, actually. It definitely performs better than my batch of 2016 of the original, which is shocking. It is more synthetic though, and a lot of times synthetics will do that. Synthetics will last longer, but I will actually get, 6 or 7 hours out of the clone, which 6 or 7 hours isn't great, but it's better than 4 or 5. And the projection lasts an hour and a half, which again, not great, but it's a lot better than 15 minutes. So this is kind of a weird one where, I don't really recommend fragrances that last like the original does, but this I might actually be able to recommend over the original, even if money was no object. Like this is something I'd be more likely to recommend even if you had enough money to buy the original, which is different. Usually you get what you pay for. You don't usually come away like this. So this is a confusing review for me. Armaf Milestone has kind of thrown me through a loop here where I don't want to recommend it. I don't like this. I don't want to recommend it. This is like maybe my favorite fragrance ever. So I want to not like this. Like I kind of want it to suck. So that this wasn't a waste of money, but at the same time, this I can wear all the time now. Like I can wear this every day this summer if I want to, which is awesome and it's exciting. So this is hard for me, man. This is a hard one because it is just a little bit more synthetic. But once we're about a little bit further into that dry down, and it does get a little bit sweeter. That sourness does diminish slightly as it goes on, and it starts smelling even more like the Creed. Creed's still a little bit sweeter, but this one, that sweetness has started. That sweetness has started to come up on the clone. The Creed is still sweeter. This one still has more of that sour watermelon, but the clone is more balanced over time. Man, it's crazy. But I'm gonna have to say, if you want a summertime fragrance, this is a great one. This is really a 10 out of 10 fragrance. Yeah, it's a little bit synthetic in the opening, but I don't care, you know. It's not synthetic enough to be off-putting, so I don't really care. Dior Sauvage is kind of synthetic too, and that's fine. And maybe photorealistic isn't the right word for the watermelon in the clone, but it's styled to be photorealistic, if that makes sense. You know how if you were to play a video game and they're you know what, that is kind of what it's like. It's like this is the movie, right? And this is the video game, right? They're going for a photorealistic watermelon and a photorealistic ocean, right? Like if you were, you know, busting open a salted watermelon sitting next to the ocean, they're going for that. It's just it's a little bit blurry. That it's not perfect, right? It's like a but it's close, right? Like the graphics are pretty fucking good. Like it's close, and it's close enough that do you really need to spend $200 for the original? Nah, you really don't, man. So I'm gonna have to say this is a recommend. And the thing is, since it's a recommend over this, this is a banger, man. For $30, you're talking about maybe the best summer fragrance around. Yeah, the Creed's been out for a minute, but not enough people wore this for it to be played out, man. Jump on this. Like, surely this is going to blow up this summer. Whenever everyone gets vaccinated and people can actually start going out and doing things again, man, this is gonna blow up. I'm excited. I really think, at least in FragCom, the more people get their hands on this is an awesome fragrance. Yeah. So if you don't have it yet, if you haven't picked it up, it's so worth $30, man. So worth it. So yeah, buy it, man. Just buy it. Sorry, this was a little bit rambly. I'm trying to get back in the flow of making videos. Hopefully a lot more frequently. But you guys have a great day, and I hope you guys are able to pick up one or both of these, because spoilers if you haven't seen this review yet. I don't really know which review's going up first. I guess this one is. They're both awesome, you know. Yeah, buy them if you've even just buy them if you've thought about it at all. So worth the money, and it's so little money for so much value. So yeah, Armaf going hard. I guess that's about all for this video. Sorry for the rambling. You guys have a great day.